Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my massive test candle haul from Atlanta. And so of course in this video we have 6 of the other test candles that are in the neutrals collection that look like this, and the receipt on it did say WBTST, so I'm assuming these are indeed like the actual test candles rather than like the spring preview. These are not listed on any of the product guides, and not all the product images have surfaced either, so there's a potential that these could just be a test candle launch, and so we don't know if we're gonna get them wide in any shape or format, or if they're gonna fail and like we never see them again. So in case that happens, I did pick up all 6 of them, and then of course the friend that I was going for as well picked up the same 6, so we'll go through that right now. So yes, the first one is Sweet Peach and Rhubarb right here, and that's what that looks like. This one's probably the most like palatable or mass appeal of all the fragrances. These tend to be rather like experimental and more of those like, you know, out there neutral fragrances. So it seems like Bath & Body Works is really straying away from the usual like cutesy bakery shop stuff, so kind of weird. We have Ripe White Peach, Sweet Rhubarb, and Garden Strawberries. And yeah, this one's pretty juicy. It's very fruity. You get a sweet peach and strawberry blend mixed together. The two just kind of like sweeten each other. It's kind of like you get that kind of tangy peach fragrance, and then the strawberry just sweetens it and amps it up even more. There's almost like a slight like spiced like jam preserves type of vibe in there as well, that's just giving the fruit an extra depth to it. And then you get the rhubarb in there, and it's that sort of like vegetable-y green quality in there that gives like an extra bite. And so when I first smelled this in store, I was like, this reminds me a whole lot of Strawberry Rhubarb Marmalade, which was a one-hit wonder from I think spring 2015. This one was marmalade made from hand-picked garden strawberries and rhubarb. They are actually quite different though. This one I think is stronger on the rhubarb because there's not the peach watering it down, and the strawberry jam is a very strong, like rich strawberry jam fragrance. So there's that. So yeah, they are different, but this is probably the next best thing to it if you're really jonesing for Strawberry Rhubarb Marmalade. Yeah, they are different though. The peach is much stronger in this because, hello, there's peach and the other one doesn't. It kind of feels a slight reminiscence to Market Peach and Strawberry Pound Cake and the way the strawberry and the peach kind of play off of each other. But this one, the peach is a lot more of that like quintessential trash bag peaches that we get from Market Peach. It's a little bit more like sour on the peach note, and the strawberry and the pound cake come more secondary. So yeah, I think this one's actually sweeter and fruitier, believe it or not, than Market Peach and Strawberry Pound Cake, and the rhubarb just gives it an extra depth. So yeah, this one's fun, kind of like a very fresh picked spring vibe to it. So that was Sweet Peach and Rhubarb right there. So the next one we have is White Oak and Amber, and that's what that looks like right there. The notes on this one read White Oak Wood, Smoked Amber, and Woody Vanilla. So this one's interesting because I was talking to House of Harlow on Instagram, who is also the person that I have been picking up a lot of these candles for. And they were saying that the ILN on this, the ingredients list number, matches to the White Oak and Yuzu candle from the Ingredients Plus collection that we had last year, and that's what that looks like. We had like this coconut and vetiver, bergamot and birch, which we have seen again this year. There was also that patchouli and rosewood and coffee and tonka that was sent only to select stores, and so we had that whole Ingredients Plus collection, and a lot of the marketing were like the internal material. There was a White Oak and Yuzu fragrance that was supposed to come out, but it never surfaced and we never saw it. It never came out on the American site or in any of the stores. And then so a little bit while back, right now currently on the Netherlands website, White Oak and Yuzu did actually surface, and the notes on that one are of course different from the ones that read on here. So that just once again shows you the marketing that goes with this. And the notes on White Oak and Yuzu read soft oakwood, natural ginger, and yuzu, whereas this one makes no mention of a ginger or yuzu. But in any case, yes, so the ILN on that product database match for the White Oak and Amber and White Oak and Yuzu. So it's kind of interesting like that the product ingredients database like exists, because now we can like cross-reference candles without having to like get them shipped from the Netherlands and trying to figure that out and do a side-by-side nose comparison, because the ILN numbers match on both of those. So totally cool find on that one. So thank you for that. Also, he found that there was cucumber water and aloe or something like that is also on the Netherlands website, which was another Ingredients Plus collection that did not surface here. Cucumber and aloe water. In that one, he cross-referenced the islands, and that actually happened to be the afternoon rainfall fragrance that we got from like the Pink Rose and Leather collection for Candle Day. And that one read sweet cucumber, sugared peach, and refreshing aloe water. So once again, just like totally different like naming and marketing on it, but the ILN on those match as well. So it's crazy how like they had a few of these like Ingredients Plus candles and some of them never surfaced, but then they end up actually coming out as something else. So once again, the ILN thing is just like such a juicy find, because then you can finally like track down the repackages without even having to get like the Netherlands version of those candles. So super cool there. But in any case, now that's out of the way, what does white oak and amber smell like? Yeah, this one has a very spicy fragrance to it. It's quite spicy. This could almost be like a fall fragrance. I guess it's that like spicy ginger is what you're getting from it. It's like those like spiced citrus type of fragrances, and I guess that's where the yuzu is coming in from, because like it says oak wood, smoked amber, and woody vanilla, so you're gonna think that's gonna be like some kind of Palo Santo or Marshmallow Fireside type of woodsy fragrance. It really isn't. This is like a kind of like a different take on this fragrance that we're gonna talk about here real soon, which is citrus and warm ginger. It's like another spicy citrus fragrance. So that's kind of what white oak and amber is. Take it or leave it, to be honest. I just kind of got it because it was a test fragrance and I happened to be in the test store. The next one is very similar vein, is citrus and warm ginger right here. Right off the bat, this is not the aromatherapy orange ginger fragrance. This is aromatic ginger, warm cardamom, and zesty orange. Yeah, this is like a dirtier version of white oak and amber. You get the ginger is more like the herbal, like dirty, like ginger you pulled out of the ground, and you get the dirt and the soil in there too. My mom was smelling it. She's like, this totally reminds me of cilantro, and it has that same cilantro fragrance in here too, where it's that like dirty herbal fragrance, and I do not like the way like cilantro smells. And this has that like same dirty, like soily herbal cilantro and like ginger out of the ground fragrance, with a little bit of like a warm orange spice in the background. This one's a little bit more, has like a zip or a zestiness to it, and a little bit more dirty than the white oak and amber. Yeah. This one kind of smells like chewing gum in a way, because it is so spicy. Kind of like if you had like an orange juicy fruit gum and then also like a spicy cinnamon gum and like chew them both at the same time. That's kind of what white oak and amber is. But yeah, so interesting fragrance. But this one, yeah, it's different. It's quite earthy. So citrus and warm ginger right there. Next, we have sweet tobacco in Tonka, and that's what that looks like right there. And this one is tobacco leaf, vanilla tonka bean, and warm patchouli. This one I thought was going to be like ebony sands, which is a very heavy tobacco fragrance that kind of also smells like the tobacco flower that we've had before. There's also tobacco and oud from the oud test collection. It is neither of those fragrances. This kind of smells like vanilla licorice. Yeah. For whatever reason, I'm getting like licorice and vanilla. It's like actually quite sweet. The vanilla tonka bean in here is quite strong. It's not really like an edible gourmand vanilla, but there's definitely a sweetness from the vanilla with something else going on, which I guess is the tobacco and the patchouli, but it kind of smells like licorice. Weird. Once again, not something I normally would ever gravitate towards, but it exists. So sweet tobacco and tonka. I just totally like out of my wheelhouse fragrances, and fragrances that like are just, you know, a lot more out there for Bath and Body Works. But I guess I appreciate that they're going more experimental, but they're not necessarily fragrances that I appreciate in a lot of these like collections. Like I like the really like floral stuff, and I also enjoy bakery as well. So kind of interesting. Basil and spearmint right here, and that's what that looks like. I love the green on this. Fresh basil, spearmint leaves, and crisp jasmine. This smells a whole lot like, there's like a Moroccan mint tea fragrance, like a spearmint tea fragrance that like makes its round in the like luxury fragrance market. This is very much that. You get that very fuzzy herbal spearmint mixed with the basil, and it has that very like herb garden feel to it. It's super crisp, super refreshing, and super uplifting. That is mixed in there. And then the jasmine's not super floral, super heavy, but there's just like a slight prettiness kind of chilling in the background. But this is definitely like the basil and spearmint first and foremost. Yeah, reminds me of those like spearmint mint tea candles that show up on the luxury market. So basil and spearmint are right there, and that's what that looks like. And then lastly, let's see, what do we have? Oh gosh, this one I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know how to describe this. Hemp in Wild Vetiver right here. Super pretty blue label on that. This one is Botanical Hemp, Vetiver, and Green Peppercorn. Yeah, I don't know how to describe this. It's sweeter than I thought. It's like sweet and green maybe. I think someone was asking me if it was similar to, I guess, weed or pot, because I guess hemp is in there. I'm not super familiar with any of those items, but I have smelled it before, and I have to say this is a much sweeter and prettier interpretation of it. I think like pot or weed smoke or whatever it is, like when you smell it, there's almost like this like damp, like a damp smoky earthiness to it. It's not quite as damp and pot-like as that. I mean, I get the comparisons. There's definitely like that same like sort of green planty quality to it. Is that what it is? But it's sweetened by like a natural sweetness that I have no idea where it's coming from. It's not the traditional vetiver that smells really like dirty and grassy, kind of like the cilantro candle that we were talking about. It's not like the usual vetiver that you get, but there is something like vaguely green about it. I don't know. I have no idea how to describe this. I'm not familiar with vetiver, peppercorn, or hemp in any way, shape, or form. So it exists and it smells like, I guess, presumably hemp and wild vetiver. I really don't know. It's not terrible, but I just really don't know what I'm smelling. So hemp and wild vetiver right there. Hey guys, so this is post-filming editing version of myself a few hours in the future, and I didn't want to refilm the entire haul video, so I was like, you know what, let me just put a small clip in here and call it a day. But basically, after some, long story short, after going some back and forth with House of Harlow, which is my fellow like ILN detective, I think we figured out that this and maybe some of the other ones in this entire collection might actually be repackages of a small batch fragrance lab collection from 2017 of, I think this was a fall, and it only went to test store, so I never smelled it. But the reason we were even trying to figure this out was because the bottom of the Hemp and Wild Vetiver has an ILN number that is 26358 and it ends in, whereas all the other ones in here are 64 something 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 or another, which like the 6 series indicates like the ones like for 2023, whereas something that has a number all the way back from 26 would indicate it as the older candles. We're like, what could this possibly be? So I was like just scouring the internet trying to figure out what it would be, and so finally after like ruling out some other stuff, he was like, why don't you just go through all the candles from 2017, because we found another candle that had a 2 series that was released in 2017, so that's why we got down to 2017. And in 2017 there was a small batch candle that did, I think, test in the Atlanta region that I didn't smell, and sure enough there is one that actually says it's number 15 earthy hemp, blackcurrant, vetiver, and patchouli. And I was like, oh my god, that one has vetiver and hemp in it. And even before I was doing all this sleuthing and even before this conversation, I was smelling this and I was like, if I could pinpoint another fragrance in here that was not listed on the notes, what would it be? And I was like, I get like a tart berry type of fragrance, and sure enough, blackcurrant is in here. So I think like some of these might actually be repackages of that Fragrance Lab collection one. So there was that. But the thing is, all the other ones still have a 6 whatever another ILN number, which still indicates that it's a newer fragrance. But when you go through the list, there's actually some other ones that could possibly be the fragrances that are in this collection. So there's a 002 earthy that has garden, mint, basil, eucalyptus, and ginger, and we have that basil and spearmint fragrance in this collection as well. And I believe there's also another fragrance. What was it? The 010 spice, which is Tahitian vanilla, tonka bean, tobacco, and amber. So this could be sweet tobacco and tonka, which has tonka, tobacco, and vanilla in it. But for whatever reason, you can't match the ILN numbers on that, because like these are brand new 6 whatever ones, and like they're not 2, so it's like, well, maybe they aren't that, but maybe for whatever reason the new makeup in these candles, like maybe the wick in the wax formulation wasn't exactly the same, or maybe they tweaked it ever so slightly, but a lot of these like Fragrance Lab ones kind of like pair up with these. So like it's just crazy that like we're like, you know, being faced with 2017 test candles again here in 2023, so it's just interesting. But maybe like back in 2017, like this was still too ahead of the time for Bath & Body Works demographic, but they're like, okay, maybe we can like put these candles out again and put them out there and put them in the neutrals packaging and see if it sells. So just kind of interesting. But excuse me while I just geek out on ILN numbers, but thank you to House of Harlow as well again for helping me also geek out on all this one and sort of put the 2 and 2 together. So hope you guys enjoyed this little tidbit, and here's back to the video. These are totally out of my wheelhouse, so sorry sorry that I couldn't be a little bit more helpful on this, but this is like totally out of my realm of fragrances. But kind of interesting. Once again, if these were wide and readily available, would I have picked them up? Probably not, except for maybe the Rhubarb one and possibly the Basil and Spearmint. But I was at a test store. We don't know if they're going to go wide, and I was just like caught up in all of it that I was like, let me put it in there and call it a day. So that's what I did. Honestly, I think the only one like from the candle community here on the internet, like that we're all familiar with, I think the only one like someone would be really torn about if it didn't go wide is that peach and rhubarb one. That's the most like palatable, mass appeal, like fruity, juicy, like the ones that people would like hoard a ton of. That is really the only one. The other ones are kind of just like your run-of-the-mill. I don't want to say run-of-the-mill, but you're like the usual like out-of-the-box experimental neutrals fragrance that BBW does that I guess is popular to an upcoming market that they're trying to target, but is not necessarily popular to the candle community here that like hoards the bakery stuff all the time. So those are my 2 cents on that. Yeah, it is what it is. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you're excited for any of these, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.